they found a name that shouldn't be there. Deep in the vault of a shuttered abbey sealed behind wax and prayer, a single parchment bore a signature never recorded in any royal ledger. Not a forgery, not a legend, real ink on real vellum, carbon-dated, catalogued, and then quietly buried again. No press release, no academic paper, just silence. Because that name belonged to a child of a line that was supposed to be extinct, not lost to war, not ended in scandal, but erased, systematically, deliberately, as if their very existence had become too dangerous for history to remember. But that's the thing about stories, they find a way back. Even the ones that were buried deepest, especially those. So let's take a breath, slow the pace, and return to a time when the lines of power were drawn in blood, sometimes royal, sometimes sacred, always carefully watched. Picture the grand silence of a stone crypt, the air thick with incense and the centuries. Somewhere in the shadowed aisles of Europe's forgotten monasteries, a trail was hidden not of treasure but of names. Names that once held power beyond armies. Bloodlines that didn't just rule but claimed something far more dangerous, divine right. In this quiet war between kings and popes, between memory and manuscript, one family disappeared completely. No grave, no heraldry, no whispered tales passed down in firelight. Just gone. And in the place where their story should be, the records skip forward like a scratched vinyl, a blank space, a silence shaped like fear. Tonight we begin a journey into that silence, into the gaps between scrolls, into the vaults beneath the Vatican, and through the forgotten corridors of castles whose heirs were never born or were but never acknowledged. Because if even part of what's been whispered is true, then the bloodline that vanished didn't die. It hid. And it may still be out there, pulsing quietly beneath the surface of modern Europe, protected by secrets older than nations. Before we venture further into the shadows, take a moment to subscribe so you never miss a secret that history has tried to forget. It begins, as many things do not, with the fall of an empire, but with the fading of a name. Among the dust-laden shelves of European aristocracy, certain lineages flicker like candle flames in a draught, bright for a moment, then inexplicably extinguished. And none more curiously than the final known branches of the Merovingian and Carolingian lines, whose descent was once a matter of sacred record. Their blood, they claimed, came not just from kings, but from saints, from the holy. Perhaps even in whispered circles from something older and far more dangerous to the Church's dominion, the apostolic. That was the rumor, at least. A line of rulers said to carry within them a divine legitimacy so profound that even the Pope had to bow. In official chronicles, these lines ended neatly, peacefully. The Carolingians passed the torch to others, the Merovingians gave way to stronger hands. But when you pull at the threads, something strange unravels. Not all the sons and daughters accounted for in early records have corresponding graves. Not all marriages lead to traceable offspring. And in some cases, entire branches of a family tree seem to vanish between one century and the next, as if history had simply chosen to stop mentioning them. One of the clearest examples lies in the case of Theuderic IV, a Merovingian monarch who ruled in name, but not in power. His reign from 721 to 737 is sparsely documented. He had no recorded children. And yet, a monastic registry from the Abbey of Saint-Benoît-sur-Loire, dated 3 decades later, references a donation made by someone calling themselves Theodoricus of royal descent, son of the last free king. Historians dismissed it as romantic flourish, perhaps a local noble embellishing his lineage to gain favor. But a newer interpretation recently unearthed in a dissertation buried under more popular publications suggests that it wasn't embellishment, it was fact. The handwriting matches that of a known clerical scribe from the region, and the seal, though degraded, bears a striking resemblance to those used by the Merovingian court. And that's not the only anomaly. In the early 11th century, the chronicles of the Abbey of Reichenau describe a quiet visit from a woman cloaked in black, who was received with honors usually reserved for royalty. She stayed for 3 days. Her name was never written. But afterward, the monks penned a curious blessing in their ledger invoking protection upon the children of the lily, for whom heaven keeps watch. The lily, or fleur de lis, had by then become synonymous with the sacred right of royal blood, especially that which France claimed as divine. Why was she there? Why no record of her name? And why in the same year did 3 different monasteries across Europe record similar blessings, using almost identical phrasing? Some scholars chalk it up to poetic fashion, perhaps a form of liturgical repetition, like a chant echoing through the century. But those who study the subterranean rivers of power, the currents that move beneath the surface of kings and priests, see it differently. They suspect coordination, a quiet passing of the torch. Perhaps the blessing marked a ritual, or a hiding. The problem with lineage is that it leaves traces. Marriage alliances, land deeds, baptismal records, sooner or later something surfaces. Unless, of course, someone has a vested interest in preventing it. And this is where things begin to feel curated. The gaps in the genealogical record aren't random. They occur with eerie consistency during moments of church consolidation when Rome needed silence more than clarity, particularly when the idea of a rival bloodline, one that might challenge both political and spiritual authority, posed more than a nuisance. It posed a theological threat. Nowhere is this tension more obvious than in the writings of Hildegard of Bingen, a visionary mystic of the 12th century, who frequently referenced a line from the East that bore divine favor but was chained by the mouths of men. At the time, her words were interpreted metaphorically, but revisited today and in light of emerging anomalies, some believe she was referencing a hidden family, one forced underground by threat of persecution, and yet still bearing a kind of celestial imprimatur that terrified the institutional church. All of this remains tantalizing yet elusive. We must walk carefully between what we can